Hi, hello everyone. How are you? I hope you are doing well. I can confirm, is my voice clear, audible to all of you? Yeah, can you guys confirm, is my voice clear, audible to all of you? Okay, great. So, welcome to the Resit orientation for Advanced Performance Management exam. First of all, congratulations to those who did manage to pass in any exam that they gave. Uh, and those who were not able to, then obviously I understand it's disappointing, but we need to understand, we need to realize that there is a definite shortcoming that requires quick consideration, that requires to be rectified ASAP. And if you're able to, then obviously you will have a very good chance to make it uh, moving forward. Okay. This session is useful for those who are attempting the paper for the first time. Obviously, they will be in a very good position to understand the possible mistakes people do in the exams and how to overcome it. Secondly, those who are obviously giving the paper again because they unfortunately did not pass. So, for them as well, this will be definitely a very useful session. So, be with me till the end, and we will be discussing multiple important things. So, let's begin. First, about myself, my teaching experience, more than 18 years. My areas of expertise includes teaching performance management, financial management, and advanced performance management. APM always has been very close to my heart. APM, the reason is that the challenge it offers uh, definitely makes it uh, very, I would say, interesting for me. And I then try my level best to give my best in terms of coming up with better techniques, better things. Every quarter, I do it. Last time, I came up with a lot of important things for this paper, and the real change I saw in the passing ratio, that if you see the ACCA passing ratio of June was 26. This is the official passing ratio, which actually was a surprise that it went up by 2% compared to the March passing ratio, which was 40%. But the encouraging part was my class passing ratio was approximately 60%. So that was a very good encouragement for me. I have seen many students did manage to pass their exams. It was very nice to see. Uh, and to be very honest, this provides me encouragement to put more effort when I see any techniques, any new things that I implement, and we see a quick result of that. So that gives a lot more encouragement. And obviously, this time as well, I will be making things more and more better, more and more simple for you in the upcoming sessions. So, yeah, let's continue with this good momentum of our own passing ratio. The next target is to beat our own passing ratio of 59 to 60%. And let's uh, increase this to around maybe 65, 70%. Okay. Now, there are certain changes, certain minor changes to be very honest. ACCA did share certain changes at the start, but then they came up with new documents, and they came up with more clarity in terms of the changes. So first of all, these sections, uh, all the four sections now have been renamed. So you can see this is a major change in terms of the content, names. There have been the main names have changed. Under these, there have been minor changes, like in the sense, few additions, few deletions, few things have been renamed. Uh, so I think from student perspective, the rename aspect and things like that are okay. You don't have to worry much about it. That is something I will be looking at my end. In terms of the basic topics that they've removed now with clarity, they've mentioned through this document is the BCG model, Porter's five forces, uh, McKenzie's 7S model, and further clarity that they gave was in relation to transfer pricing that have that has been now removed. Uh, and the basic financial ratios of IRR and MIRR also have been removed. So we have also adjusted our portal, the content accordingly. Uh, so all these areas have been removed from the portal now because of this updated document given by the ACCA, which gave further clarity in relation to the uh, removal of these areas. So initially, in the syllabus, they did mention about BCG, Porters, and McKenzie as a clear-cut uh, deletions, and then through this document, things have further been cleared that transfer pricing, IRR, MIRR has been removed. So we don't have to put extra effort on these. In fact, no effort at all. Things that they've added is TSR, that obviously we do cover already. Environmental cost categories is what again we already cover. Service level agreement was tested a lot before this as well. A lot of times the word SLA was already used in ACCA exam questions. This time they have just made it more clear and visible regarding the SLA thing. And one thing that is totally new as far as I am concerned is Net Promoter Score, NPS. So we will be looking at the additions. Uh, it's not a problem, and we are fully equipped in the sense that we can easily cope up with these addition areas. We were waiting for the result, so once result is now published, so all the students who will come and they will give the retake papers, they will see all the new additions as well in the pool. So not to worry much, minor changes. The rest, everything almost remains the same. Uh, and yeah, this was relating to the changes. Now I am targeting certain important problems that are very common to APM, problems that I think I can say are the major reasons for failure, and what solution I have, what I have built up for these things. As I always say, I work continuously on making this easier and easier. So considering this, I will be discussing few things. Obviously, I will not be going into the details of uh, the proper solutions I've made. Those I will be definitely incorporating once I do my practice sessions later on in this attempt. And those who will continue with me, those who will be part of my regular batch, resit batch, revision batch, what all we have, so they will see that a lot of things I will discuss in detail with them, and that will make things very easy. So the first problem I always see, which is a very major problem, is not understanding the question requirement. We have made this obvious many times. We have made this, we brought this in front of you people so many times. Uh, and this remains a major challenge from exam perspective. Uh, the basic solution I used to give previously was you need to break the requirement into verbs, and you need to break the requirement into objects. That I still continue to do in every question I solve. Every time I do these solutions, I deliberately break in verb and objects because I want to make this part of your practice. I want to make this part of your muscle memory. Very recently, I came up with certain hacks to decode the requirement. Now, these hacks are very useful. I've categorized different requirements of APM. Uh, Again, the effort that I try to do is obviously, we cannot say that 100% this will be applicable for all the questions, but you know, things like these are workable in most of the scenarios. Like I can say, at least 90% of the APM questions you can solve through these hacks. These hacks are basically a way to decode the requirement, decoding the requirement. So I, as I said earlier, I'll be moving on with my question practices later on in this session, because there are a lot of things to be done in the coming 1.5 month. Like we'll be having our live practice sessions, we'll be having our revision sessions, we'll be having our webinars. So all these things definitely are a one that I will be using a lot, uh, and these hacks is what I'll be explaining as we move on in this attempt. Okay. Anyways, what exactly are these hacks? So obviously I need to give you some sort of clarity about it. So I was really thinking on a constant basis that how I can make decoding of requirement easy for the students. So I came up with 4 hacks here. Uh, Based on the exam requirement. And to be very honest, this one area, like performance report or dashboard, has now become a separate section as well. If I just quickly go back and show you from the exam perspective, this is performance reporting, where you can see a performance report to be tested a lot. So it's a separate section of exam now. So this is the first hack we have whenever we see a question of performance report. So what needs to be done, how to decode it, how to make it simple. So the approach that I teach student is PALE. PALE is an approach which you need to keep in your mind, like purpose is what you have to consider, audience, information, layout. I do discuss this a lot. I will be discussing again in the upcoming practice sessions. So this is the first type of a question which is tested a lot in APM. So the hack they're made for is PALE. The decoding part is PALE. Then there is a second type of question where they test models, financial and non-financial models. CSF KPIs are part of it, like balance scorecard, building block model, performance pyramid. Yeah. So these model type questions are tested in the exam when they ask you to when they ask you guys to use these models to evaluate the company's system, performance management, measurement systems. So for that, I have my $1 million categories. Those who are already part of my batch, they know what these $1 million categories are. These categories are those in which we figure out is the model based question a theoretical one, or we have to use a model to assess the business performance, or we have to use the model to assess the business systems, and also the recommendation, the suggestions that are required if the question asks you to give those. So the hack two is for these model based questions like pyramid, balance scorecard, building block models, and the main hack is $1 million categories that make things easier. Then comes hack three, relates to questions in which they ask you about a technique, a method, a process. Uh, so, like for example, They can ask you about just in time, ABC, ABM, VBM, big data, benchmarking. Uh, so if question is of that type where they're asking you about certain technique, method, process. So for that, I have a very good $1 million cheat code that I've made. And obviously in my questions, I'll be using that cheat code a lot. So this is a very unique cheat code I've made. This helps a lot to decode the requirement through which students are able to understand, okay, these are the certain points that we have to keep in our mind and they are able to manage it properly. Okay. Part 4 relates to question that are not very much tested. And that's my category 4, where they ask you about the calculation based evaluation, where they specifically ask you to do some calculations, and then obviously based on those calculations you evaluate the things. So in relation to that, like calculation of EVA, ROI, ROS, VFM, 3 E's, yeah, gearing calculations in relation to KPIs, NPV, for example. So if these calculations are tested, so in that case, it's a very simple rule of that, and that is to calculate it, do the interpretation based on that, link with the scenario and conclude it. So these are the 4 different types that I've identified considering recent exams of APM. And obviously, if somebody wants to know what PAIL is, what are the $1 million categories, what are the $1 million cheat codes, because this is a lot tested in the paper as well. So obviously, my classes, my answering techniques, the way I will be covering in the upcoming live sessions ahead, and what all is part of my recorded content makes things easy for the students. Anyway, so the first problem is requirements are not clear. Verb objects is important to determine, and these hacks you have to apply that will help you to decode the APM requirement. All these will be continued in our discussions ahead as well. And these are $1 million stuff, something recent. Now, the second problem was the professional marks. So I always want to give clarity that see your technical marks basically are a one that will qualify you for professional marks, which means if you attempt 100% of the paper, if you target 100% of the paper, if you target 100% technical marks, so you you uh, definitely have a very good chance. You have a very good chance to end up getting the professional marks. Okay. So professional marks are very important from exam perspective. Professional marks definitely uh, give you easy numbers to pass. So you need to understand certain important things about the professional marks, like if it is a communication mark, this only comes in 50-mark question. So your headings, your language, exact requirement focus, that what has been asked, you are communicating that only, gives you marks under communication. For analysis and evaluation, it is important that you explain things with evidence, you explain things, uh, what evidence means, should be a balanced assessment. Okay, that is covering both the angles. If there are certain calculations that you have to do and use it, you do it to draw your conclusions. So a balanced assessment, balanced input is very important in analysis and evaluation. For skepticism, we can challenge the reliability of the data, uh, mentioning limitations, questioning the assumptions. and do not accept information blindly that is presented to you by the management, by the board, is automatically demonstrating skepticism. Commercial acumen, very crucial for a consultant. So, in case of commercial acumen, you have to make sure that whatever you are writing should be practical, should be plausible, should consider internal and external factors. You have to think like a consultant. Okay? Think like a consultant. You have to consider the external factors that can affect things, internal factors. In short, whatever you write, you should add value to your client. Okay? Business consequence, practicality. And for that to happen, very important, very crucial is linking with the scenario. The more you link, the more you relate, the better practicality perspective you will see. Okay? So make sure professional marks are not separate from technical answer. Yes, they are not. You don't have to demonstrate separately. It's your technical answer wordings. It is your technical answer that you are writing. If that technical answer has a balanced assessment, if that technical answer raises challenge, questions the assumptions, if that technical answer includes practical points, plausible points, achievable, relevant to the business, those technical answers automatically qualify for professional marks. So you don't have to demonstrate separately. And the most important, complete 80 technical marks to grab 40, 20 professional marks. Right? Then the marking scheme problem. A very common problem of marking scheme is something we always see in APM students. They do ask a lot about the marking scheme, like what is the marking criteria, if it is a 12-mark requirement, 13-mark requirement, 5-mark requirement. So remember, valid points are given marks. One valid point generally scores 1 mark, generally. Okay. But it is important to determine and understand what is a valid point. And it's not just a valid point, but also to consider developing point as well. Okay. Now, valid point and a developing point both will give you marks. So, what is a valid point? Relevant point that answers the requirement, not out of the context. Now, if the requirement is, if the verb is to assess, if the verb is to evaluate, okay, the suitability of activity-based costing. So now the requirement is to evaluate suitability of ABC. So a valid point means you are coming up with the points that are either suitable, either demonstrating the suitability of ABC, okay, or are demonstrating that ABC is not suitable. Listen. So when I say it's a 7-mark requirement, when I say it's a 10-mark requirement, 7, 8, 10, then the question is evaluate suitability of ABC. So verb is evaluate, which means you have to judge, you have to come up with positive, negative suitability points. And the object is obviously suitability is what you have to evaluate. So now valid point constitutes what? 8 valid points, which means points that are giving a message that yes, ABC is suitable. Like, for example, If that company overhead is significant, so overhead to be significant is a valid point to write to ensure and it is suitable for the company to implement ABC because overheads are significant. That's a valid point. Number two, if the company is making different products and that too complex products, okay, so again, this is a sufficient point to write under the heading of suitability of ABC. This is a valid point. Company staff has an old mindset, not very tech savvy, cannot use information systems. Now, this point is a one that will focus on that ABC is not suitable because of this problem. It's a valid point. So, what I'm trying to explain is valid points are those that are answering the exact requirement and yes, not general requirements or general points, sorry, scenario based points. They are so well linked with the scenario. If they are not linked with the scenario, any suitability that you write, like you say, overheads, if are significant, if one should use ABC. No, you have to check in the question. You have to find in the question. You have to analyze in the question. If data is given to you that yes, overhead seems to be significant, like if the total cost of the company is 12 million and 7 million is overheads, so it is a significant percentage. So linking with the scenario, any points generally written having now in when I say generally, so those points are correct. ABC is suitable when overheads are significant. That's totally correct. But if that is not applicable in the scenario, if that doesn't exist in the scenario, then despite being a correct point, despite being a valid point of ABC suitability, you won't get marks. You will not score. You should not score. So suitability means what? Scenario based suitability, not general suitability. Okay. So a strong valid point includes requirement focus, condition one, links with the scenario, number two, and explains why you have written this point, which means again, how well are you connecting with the scenario? You get 1 mark for it. See, discussions like these, things like these will open up your mind, which we don't discuss much or people don't discuss much. Okay. So this is a valid point. 1 mark you'll get. Okay. 7 marks requirement, 7 valid points. 8 mark requirement, 8 valid points in relation to the requirement. There's one more thing that is also a valid point, but we'll classify that as a developing point. That is also something you get marks for. Now, developing point is what? That adds further value. That adds further value. That comes up with something new or explains something differently to the first point, which means which means this is in connection to the first point. This is in connection to a valid point, but it is showing you some different perspective, a different angle is a developing. And that is also considered as a valid point for marks. Like you wrote about something. Now, in relation to the first point, you are mentioning further impact of it. You're mentioning consequence of that first point that you mentioned. Okay. Any sort of additional benefit, any sort of limitation, okay, is a further developing. Is a further developing. Okay. So both are given marks. Any additional add-on to the previous point is also a valid point. You will get the marks. And the first point itself is considered as a valid point for the marking purpose. Are you all with me, everyone? So you need to understand the marking scheme and your answer should be in paragraph form. Okay. Now, for example, uh, you can say that implementation of ABC, okay, requires significance of overheads. Overheads are significant. If in your company, you can use activity-based costing. Okay. So this is considered, and you have a proof of that. You have linked that with the scenario. So you can definitely consider that as a valid point, right? Just a minute, please. Just a minute. Okay. Sorry for the stoppage. Okay, now where I was, a valid point. Now, how can I come up with a developing point? Just try to understand. So I was giving an example of overheads. Company X overheads are significant. And we have made this point that company X overheads constitutes to 80% of the total cost. As these overheads are significant, so usage of ABC will be helpful for ABC company. Okay, you got 1 mark. Now, in connection to this, see how your examiner minds work. It's this, you just wrote this in one paragraph. You just wrote this point in one paragraph, like this is done, full stop. Now, in connection to this point, you further added developing point by mentioning what? See, that focus on ABC will also help the company to reduce its significant overhead costs by controlling the cost drivers. So now, in continuation to the first point, I added further value of ABC. I added further value of ABC for the company, that I told the management that the other value addition you will get through ABC is you can further reduce this significant overhead cost. The first point was valid. First point was significance of overhead itself was a good evidence for the suitability of ABC, which was further backed by mentioning that yes, such a focus of ABC on overheads will give you another value addition, another opportunity to reduce the cost, control the overheads. Developing one. So there are 2 points now that you will get from this one paragraph. Understood? Linked to the scenario, linked with the scenario. And you can further, for example, in that scenario, they have mentioned that uh, there has been overspent a lot in terms of cost, or the cost variances are adverse. So you can mention here in this developing point, this will help, ABC will help to reduce the overheads by controlling cost drivers, which will be useful for the company in order to reduce the adverse variance on cost side. So the link with the scenario. You advise someone generally, or you prove to someone that this advice is for you only, which has a more better clear message. You tell me. A one in which you just mentions any benefit generally, or the second way is to explain that benefit for that person only, which is more value adding, which you think other will buy easily. The second one. So scenario based is what I'm explaining. Okay. So linking with the scenario application is very, 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 very. Got it, everyone? Yes or no? Some quick feedbacks. What I just mentioned here for valid and developing point. Can you please confirm in the chat box? Understood? Yes or no? Let's see how lively people are. Yeah, I can see now response in the chat box. Okay. So this should be the mindset. I again will go back and will just give you a quick recap of the problems that I mentioned. First was the requirements. For that, I told you we need to find verbs and objects, and obviously my new tools to decode the requirement are very useful. That obviously I will be covering. I've already covered it. I'll be covering again and again in my upcoming live classes. Second is the professional marks clarity. So for professional marks, one thing should be clear, that it is the technical marks that will qualify you for professional mark. Okay. Then marking scheme problem is a very common issue. Developing points, valid points, what constitute to a valid point, what is the marking scheme, which is 1 mark per valid point, I told you. So a valid point is the one that reply exactly according to the requirement, and anything on top of it that you add up, which has a further meaning, value addition, is known as developing. All right. Yeah. Okay. Now, remember, my friends, it is very crucial that you need to have a consultant's mindset for APM. APM students, it is extremely important that we need to have a consultant's mindset, because if we are not considering the mindset of a consultant, we cannot produce answers that a professional person can do. So I always say in the exam, you have to consider yourself as a consultant. And for that, whenever you read the question, read like a consultant, like a business consultant. Okay. And when you are planning what to write, think as a consultant, a business consultant. Okay. And obviously, you will not speak, but when you speak, obviously, to someone, you should speak like a consultant. But for us, it's what we do in paper is we write the answers. We have to write like a consultant. The use of language, the jargons, all should look good, nice, and professional. So you all are a business consultant. And I always say everyone, just in the examination where you're going, just go in the examination and dress like a professional person, like a consultant, so that it definitely gives you that vibe that yes, I am a consultant. Okay. All right. So that's it. Now it's time to practice. What all tips and tricks that I've shared with you people, I will now focus on practice side. Now, what I'm going to do in practice side, we will be solving further questions. We'll solve some requirements today. I want to give you a rehearsal of these techniques in actual how much useful these will be for you from exam perspective. And let's decode the requirements. Let's see what needs to be done. Let's do a rehearsal. This is what I do in my live classes. So in this reset orientation, everybody has a very massive opportunity to be part of this free practice session for which normally people make the payments. So this time I thought let's do a rehearsal in front of students so that they get to know what needs to be done in the paper. And this should give you the clarity that, okay, this is how the technique should be implemented and this is how things needs to be done. And on the same basis, you start practicing all the questions moving ahead. You still are left with so many days, so many days. So I will be sharing a study plan for you people today, but not right now. This study plan will be shared with you guys after we are done with the practice question. And on the same pattern, I want you to create your study plan moving ahead for the next 45 to 50 days. All right. So it's time for a practice question, a quick thumbs up from you guys. Is everything going good? Are you ready, everyone? Say yes or no. Just give me 2 minutes. Let's take a 2 to 3 minutes gap right now. Be with me, stay active. Let me open the question for you. And in 5 minutes time, we will start the question. Okay. So we're starting question in 5 minutes. Okay, now all my paid students who are already part of the system, they in the meantime can go to the Wi-Fi portal. Those who are not paid students, no issue at all. I'll show them the screen. Everybody is welcome to be part of the session so that you understand how I'm using these tips and techniques, the hacks to decode things. Okay. So those who are already part of the system, they can go to their website portal and open the question. I hope you all are with me. Please go to your Wi-Fi portal. I'm also logging into the portal for the question. Okay. So, guys, please confirm, is the document visible? Okay, great. So, we'll start with the document here for now. And then, if the problem gets resolved, so we'll move towards the portal. Now, we are solving a question with GH Telecom, and you know the basic write up way. Now, how we write the answers, what is the method that I follow. So, whenever we are answering, what are the $1 million things that you have to remember is to read the general requirement, copy and paste, okay, on your word processor. Number two is we read the scenario, find and copy paste the verbs and objects. Okay. Third, you plan the answer. Here, the requirement decoding hacks will be used. Okay. So, considering verbs, objects will decode it. Next, write the answer. Okay. Now, let's go towards the scenario and let's see what task are we required to perform. Okay. So, there are two requirements that we have to handle. One relates to the uh, business environment, okay, and second is carbon dioxide emission. This is a 12 mark requirement, and this is 8 mark requirement, followed by the professional marks. Okay, required followed by professional marks, and we know professional marks does have a weightage of 5, right? So the 25 mark requirement, we normally copy paste this on a word processor when we are drafting the answer. So under these requirements, we'll be doing our further drafting. Now, to understand the scenario, I'll read the scenario. I'll go to step number 2. I'll find verb and objects. Let's read the scenario. Exhibit 1, company information. It's a common exhibit. If GH Telecom is one of the largest providers of mobile and fixed line telecommunication in Auslan. Now, this is the first paragraph. I always say in the first paragraph, in first maybe 1.5 line, they do give you the clarity in relation to what work they perform, what type of business they have, what's the nature of business. So you can see it's a largest provider of mobile and fixed line telecommunication in Auslan. Now, I always say second thing, that think of a company doing similar work in your part of the world. So obviously, in every country there are telecom countries, the companies that provide you mobile and fixed line telecommunication services. So you can come up with any company in your country to improve your commercial acumen perspective. Okay. Next, the company has recently been reviewing its corporate objectives in light of its changed business environment. Okay. So, one is corporate objectives, and second key thing is change business environment. Now, this is a very important, I would say, sentence which is giving the idea that business environment has changed here. Okay. The major new addition to the strategic objectives is under the heading. This is change in the objective that they have done. Strategic objective, building a more environmentally friendly business for the future. Now, this requires highlighting because this is a major change that they have done in their corporate objective. And that is that they want to build more environmentally friendly business in the future. It has been recognized that the company needs to make a contribution. It has been recognized that the company needs to make a contribution to ensuring sustainable development in coast land. Okay. And reducing its environmental footprint. So this is what they have recognized, that we want to make our business model more sustainable and we need to reduce the environmental footprint. Consequently, it adopted a goal that by 2017 it would have reduced its environmental impact by 60% compared to 2001. So that's the goal that they are intending to achieve, that we have to reduce the environmental footprint by 60% compared to 2001. So I highlighted the basic company information exhibit. Now I'll look into the business environment exhibit. Okay. This is exhibit 2 and let's see what it says. The reason for board concern are that telecommunication sector is competitive and the economic environment is increasingly harsh, with the markets for debt and equities being particularly poor. Okay. On environmental issues, the government and the public are calling for change from business community. Okay. It appears that increased regulation and legislation will appear to encourage business towards better performance. The board have recognized that there are threats and opportunities from these trends. So you can see a change in the business environment. Like the first, you can see telecommunication sector is very competitive now. Number two, economic environment is increasingly harsh, with the markets for debt and equity poor. On environmental perspective, government and public are increasing the pressure. They want to change. They want that business community should change. Okay. Then, in terms of, in order to implement this, they are like regulation and legislation will be required, new rules, new regulations. So board is considering that this is good and bad both. It wants to ensure that it is monitoring these factors, and so it has asked for an analysis of the business environment with suggestions for performance measurement. Okay, okay. So you can see here some kind of a hint given to us what needs to be done. We will further move on and see when we exactly find out the verbs and objects. Exhibit 3, business travel and reduction initiatives. The company has large number of employees working across its network. Therefore, there are large demands for business travel. The company runs a large fleet of commercial vehicles in order to service its network, along with company car scheme for its managers. Okay. Hmm. The manager is in charge of the company's travel budget, is reviewing data. Now, this is not a very normal kind of a data that they are reviewing. It's not financial statement. This is not financial numbers. So, what are they reviewing? Data on carbon dioxide emission to assess the recent performance, the details of which are given in Appendix 1. Okay. Okay. Recent initiatives within the company to reduce emissions were included the introduction in 2010 of a home working scheme for employees in order to reduce the amount of commuting to and from their offices. Okay. A drive to increase the use of teleconferencing facilities by employees. Okay. In consideration to above recent initiatives, following two tasks are required to be done. Now, I think the main point comes. Perform an analysis of business environment to identify factors which will affect its environmental strategy. Okay. For each of these factors, suggest performance indicators which will allow FGH to monitor its progress. Right. So I think this is my first requirement for 8 marks that I should, this is for 8 marks, that I should copy paste under the first area, and let's split this into small components. So the verb is to perform an analysis of what? The object is business environment of FGH in order to identify factors that will affect their strategy, environmental strategy. Okay. Now, once you are done with this, you are also required for these factors that you identified, you are required to suggest performance indicators. Okay. That will allow FGH to monitor its progress. So there are two verbs and two objects. Two verbs and two objects. Okay. Done. Next, evaluate the data given on carbon dioxide emission using suitable indicators. Okay. Identify trends from within the data and comment on whether company's behavior is consistent with meeting its target. Okay. Now, this is the next requirement, which is for 12 marks. More marks are related to this part. So, verb, object, okay. Then we need to identify the trends from the data, and then we need to comment on whether company behavior is consistent or not. So see, by this practice, what are we able to do? We are able to make things clear, simple, easy. Clear, simple, easy. Everyone, are you with me? Okay, done. So I think for now, we are done with step 1 and 2. This is the appendix 1, which includes information about carbon dioxide emission, which is relating to commercial fleet, diesel, petrol, company car, diesel, petrol, other road travel, diesel, petrol, rail travel, air travel, short haul, long haul, hire cars, diesel, petrol, and these other requirements. So, a unique question. Generally, I see students are not very much comfortable with such questions in the exam, and they tend to struggle. Okay, tend to struggle. So, let's now begin with the planning part of the first requirement. Let's try to decode and let's find out how to uh, make this super easy for you people. Okay, now please concentrate everyone and be with me. Plan the answer. Here the requirement decoding hack will be used. And if I just try to relate, so let's see for this part what needs to be done. For for a simple decoding hack, we will look at the verbs, we'll look at the objects, we will look at the marks, okay, the marks. We'll consider headings if we can plan, right? And to be very honest, a clear map, a road map is what I have to determine here. So I think the cheat code will be applicable here. And what cheat code is important? So let's decode this through hack 3. Verb is analysis of what? Business environment. Okay, business environment. So I have to analyze using business environment. Sorry, I have to analyze the business environment. And how can I do this? So, what comes to your mind in such a situation? I think we can take help of one of the models, which is not mentioned here. We can take help of one of the models known as PEST. Okay, PEST. So, PEST, I think, will be useful here. We can look at the political aspect, we'll look at economical aspect, we can consider the social aspect and also the technological aspect, right? So I will use PEST here in order to come up with the analysis of the business environment that will help me to identify factors that can affect their environmental strategy. Done, everyone? Is this clear to all of you? Plus, for these factors that I'll identify, I will come up with performance indicators, PIs. For these factors, I'll come up with performance indicators. Okay. So marks are 8. Marks are 8, which means if I sort of divide this into 4 areas, like for example, political. Number two, economical, social, technological. So what comes to my mind approximately, because it's an 8 mark requirement, so 2 marks each per heading. And in that, or what to do in for 2 marks is very simple, very simple. We need to identify the factor, okay? Identify the factor and the performance indicator to monitor, right? So the focus is using test, identify the factor, okay? Identify the factor and think of performance indicator to monitor. Yeah, halas. So if somebody will ask me what is the cheat code for this requirement, so I will make it red and say this is the cheat. This is the cheat. What? I will identify factor using PEST, and for each factor, and for each factor, and for each factor, I will come up with a performance indicator to monitor it. Alas. So if you ask me what is the hack, the answer is factor to be identified using test and a performance indicator to monitor it. Are you with me? Yes or no? Everyone? Just a minute, please. Just a minute. Hold on. Hold on. Just a minute. Just a minute, okay? Right, guys. Okay. So did you understood how I decoded the requirement? Yes or no? Confirm me, please. Understood? How to hack it? Okay. So these are the headings. The marks are clear. I need to identify factors considering what? Considering best, and I'll come up with a performance indicator. Now, let's begin with the first one. Critical. Now, what do you think? What government regulations want them to do? So, going back to the scenario, you can see here. Now, do you think the government requires HGH Telecom to ensure better performance towards the environment? Yes, exactly. Okay. Which means they need to reduce the carbon emission They need to put limit on their pollution levels. They need to reduce waste levels, right? And how government can ensure is by putting taxes, by putting different levies, and those will actually ensure that this is done. So what I will mention here, what we'll mention in our answer is government regulations may require FGH to recycle materials, reduce carbon emission and waste levels. Okay. Waste levels. These will be done through new taxes such as carbon levies. Correct. Now, is this important for the environmental strategy? Yes, definitely. So these regulations are relevant for FGH in environmental strategy. Clear, everyone? Yes or no? Yes. And you need to understand that such things will increase the cost for the company. Okay. So there are two types of costs that they are focusing, they have to focus now. Obviously, a cost if they do comply, sorry, if they do not comply, okay, and also a cost if they do comply. Now, if they do comply, they need to obviously uh, pay the taxes. And if they do not comply, some sort of penalties on them. So this is important as this will affect their cost. Are you with me, everyone? Now, which indicators will you suggest them? So we will mention here performance indicators here will be related to additional cost resulting from fines and taxes, and taxes in order to comply. Now, the indicator would be related to the cost side that the company needs to look at, because the increase in cost is an indicator that will indicate that yes, these are the things that are affecting me. Are you with me, everyone? The best part is you can add anything on Word without any hesitation.
Sir, I just wanted to ask one question.
Yes, please.
So, for the performance indicator, can it also be that the number of times the the penalty, I mean the amount of penalty that has been paid, or the regulations have been breached, number of times the regulations have breached? Like, can we also consider that as a performance indicator?
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay,
yes,
all right. Thank you.
yes, we can. See, for KPIs or performance indicators, it's a open end game, but just you need to ensure that whatever you write, it's not compulsory that what I'm mentioning and what you think is exactly the same. But at the end, whatever you are writing should be related to the business situation. That's totally fine. You will get marks for that. Okay,
Okay, sir. Thank you.
welcome. Okay, now the next one. We are done with this requirement for this one heading for 2 marks approximately. I mentioned the I mentioned the factor here and also mentioned the performance indicator. Just a minute, please. Let Azan complete. Okay, now economical. What you can relate with economical here? You can see here that economic environment is increasingly harsh, with the market for debt and equity being particularly poor. Okay, so I will start by mentioning here the interest rates, inflation, and exchange rates will influence the environmental strategy of FGH Telecom, right? As mentioned, for example, it is mentioned that economic environment is harsh. Okay. And yes, so is the environment good for them? No, it's harsh. It's harsh. You have to face difficulty in relation to raising the capital. Now, just understand two things. Number one, for these environmental initiatives, FGH will face problem if new environmental initiative requires significant capital expenditure, right? As this will create problem in raising the finance. Understood? This is how I've linked with the scenario. So, which performance indicator you think is a suitable or useful one here? Very simple. So, performance indicator useful in this case will be cost of capital. Cost of capital as it will determine the cost of raising finance. Thus, my question is, and I'll answer myself. Do you think are we successful in linking with the scenario here? So the answer is yes, we are. We have picked the things that are given in the question, like harsh economic environment for raising debt and equity capital. I linked that point and came up with an indicator for that. In the first case, government regulations. I picked up that point and came up with an indicator. Are you with me, everyone? Say yes or no. How can we draft it? It's very clear in front of you. Next, social factors. Now, how can you come up with social factors and what is giving you a very solid evidence that in their business situation, this matters? Come on. Any idea? Yes, the word public calling for a change as well. It is not the government only, public are calling for a change, which means the public perception is also the same that businesses should businesses should perform well in terms of environmental factors. Clear? See, any company Any company that just focuses on environment versus a company that does not focuses on environment, and where the market or the people living in that business environment have that mindset of environmental factors, what do you think customers will prefer to go to which business? Come on, reply, everyone. Which business? One that focuses on, or a one that does not focuses on environmental factors? Yes, please. The one that focuses on. Yeah. So we'll mention here the the trend and fashion among the general public is important to consider, like, for example, public calls for better performance from companies clearly means this is relevant to their environmental strategy. Okay. The end users will appreciate will appreciate improvement in environmental concerns, resulting in improved business image and, sorry, improved brand image. Okay, it will have a positive impact. Now, which indicator you think will be useful here? Suitable one. So I think suitable performance indicator here could be customer attitude surveys, survey scores. Okay, indicating their perception about the business. Else, done. I hope everyone, you are with me, understood this part, understood the way we are doing and dealing with it. Say yes or no. So the decoding is working here, identifying the factors using PEST and the performance indicator to monitor. Factological. change. It is important for them to reduce carbon emission, right? Yes, yeah. And it is very much clearly mentioned here that the telecommunication sector is very competitive as well. Okay. So, such a business of telecommunication definitely is related to technology. Yes. So, any technology based advancement, any technology based betterment, are you with me? Will affect FGH. Like if they adopt, they benefit from it. If competitors adopt, competitor will benefit from it. Okay. It was mentioned the scenario that they have huge business travels, they use cars, they have commercial cars. Now, the usage of hybrid cars is something that will benefit in terms of cost and environmental reduction initiatives as well. Okay. So, yes, we'll mention this here. New technological advancements can affect FGH and its competitors' performance. So, it will be relevant for their environmental environmental strategy. Again, the focus is on environmental strategy. Let me be very clear, you cannot go beyond environmental strategy. It's all related to environmental that you have to connect with. Okay, it's $1 million point. So use of efficient technologies like hybrid cars and solar charging systems will help to reduce cost and carbon emissions. So performance indicators like percentage reduction in carbon emission, carbon emission through use of technology will be useful. Okay, everyone, clear? Now the Major thing here was in this entire answer was the impact of these on their environmental strategy. So I have deliberately used this word environmental strategy again and again, environmental strategy again and again, environmental strategy, so that I do not deviate myself to something else. That's why I always say use the object in your answer again and again so that you are discipline yourself and you do not deviate somewhere else. Are we clear, everyone? Say yes or no. Okay. So the decoding part is done. This is what I have as my cheat code. Test will help me to identify factors and I will think of PI to monitor those factors. Next requirement, step 3 is of the planning part. Evaluate the data given on carbon dioxide emission using suitable indicators. Suitable indicators. Okay. Then identify the trends from the data and comment on company's behavior is consistent with meeting its targets. So it's simple. I will be using my hack 4 here, and to plan I will look at the verbs. I have seen the verbs, objects, marks are 12. I'll get the marks for calculations here as well. Okay. And what will be the cheat code for me here? Simple. I'll do some calcs. Based on that, do the interpretation. Based on that, will consider the targets achievement. Guys, is this clear to all of you? Yes or no? Correct? This should be done easily. Yes, no problem. I have the data available. Two thousand and one is the base year, 2010 and 9 details are given to me, and these are carbon dioxide emission details. So on my Excel, I can do some basic calculations. And what is that basic one? Let's try to copy paste stuff on the spreadsheet, which was successfully done. Okay. Now, can I work out percentage change? Yes, I can. Percentage change is what I'll be calculating here. And this will be done by using current figure minus the base year divided by the base year, because I have to see in all these years how much I have been able to reduce it. Okay. I will copy the formula, will paste this formula till the end, right? and we'll convert all these into percentages for better assessment. There you go. Now, this is my spreadsheet where I'm doing the calcs here. 33% reduction in commercial fleet diesel, 33%, 10%, sorry, 100% reduction in commercial fleet petrol, company car diesel 21%, company car petrol 79%, other road travel diesel went up, it increased, okay, by 120%, petrol, other road travel decreased by 90%, right? Now, if I stop here for now, so the road travel actually, if you see, this all relates to road travel. So there is a basic trend that I can figure out. Please be with me. Is the petrol use in cars have significantly gone down. The petrol car use have been significantly gone down. Okay, agreed, everyone? See, see. Whereas the diesel reduction we can see slightly with more focus on diesel road travel has gone up. And I can see further two details about the cars, where again I can see a minor reduction in higher car petrol, whereas massive increase in the diesel usage. Okay. Now, all these were options of road travel. Okay. Now, the other modes of travel includes rail travel and air travel. Air travel and rail travel. So I can see a reduction in rail travel as well. Okay. Whereas for air travel, I can see reduction in short haul, whereas long increased. Overall, the company has been successful in reducing this all by 38% overall. Are you with me, everyone? Yes or no? Okay. Now, what we need to write here? I have done the calculations. Now, I have to do the interpretation to identify the trends and, more importantly, is to comment whether company's behavior is consistent with meeting its targets. So I'll mention here, refer to spreadsheets for calculations. Okay. And first thing to start with is the target to see. What was the target? Now, going back to the question, guys, everyone, be with me. The question has mentioned that the company wanted to reduce its carbon emission by how much percent? 60%. starting from 2001, 60%. Okay. Now, how many years it has been already? Come on, guys, everyone. 2001, that was the base year. So 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 9 years. It's a 16-year plan because they are planned to reduce this by 2017. Is that right? So it is a 16-year program. So I'll start my answer by mentioning the goal of reducing the carbon emission by 60% in 16 years needs to be compared with the current performance in 9 years. Okay. The current emission reduction in 9 years till 2010 is 38%. Okay. 38%. Are you with me, everyone? Yes or no? Clear? Okay. Now you tell me what was the recent improvement. So just compare these two. Recent improvement in reduction. If I just compare 2009 with 2010, so the recent reduction, the recent reduction gives me a clear idea that recently from last year, 16% from last year, we have been able to reduce it. So now, this is a very big chunk, okay? Very, very big, improvement on a very big chunk compared to the last 9 years. Everyone, are you with me? Yes or no? Okay. In this 16% reduction pertains to last year, pertains to last 1 year. Okay, everyone. Now, what do you think? If we carry on with such a momentum, will we able to meet the target? Yes or no? Yes or no? Pertain to latest annual Guys, what do you think? If they continue with the same momentum, will they be able to achieve 60%? Any idea? Yes or no? Yes. I think if you see their progress in last uh, 9 years, they have achieved 38%. Okay. Last 9 years, they've achieved 38%. So if they continue with the same momentum, they still have 7 more years. And in those 7 more years, they can definitely, with the same momentum, they can beat the target of 60%. Right? So with this trend in reduction, it seems the company will achieve the target reduction of 60% easily. Are you all with me? Everyone, say yes or no. But yeah, this is a fact, to be very honest. This is a fact that uh, you need to keep in mind that maybe such a constant rate of reduction might not be possible uh, because initially, when you take certain initiatives, you do tend to reduce it initially, but later phases, it might not be possible to go with the same momentum. So we'll mention here, however, it should be noted that it might not be possible to maintain constant rate of reduction as it becomes difficult to improve at later phase due to major actions taken early results in reduction at early phase. Okay, guys, are you with me? Say yes or no. Okay, now I can further just analyze this data now by breaking or grouping into three major transport modes. Now, as I mentioned earlier, all this is pertaining to road travel. Agreed? This is also road travel. Agreed? Okay. This is something that pertains to air travel. So if you just observe here, there are three modes of transport that the company is using. It's road, air, and rail. Say yes or no. If we group this into these segments, we will be better able to analyze it properly now. So let's now analyze this based on the different types of modes they've used. Now, can you tell me the biggest carbon emission reduction is from which transport option? Come on, guys, tell me the biggest. The biggest. The biggest. Is it roads, rail, or air? Now, I can do one thing for you here. I can do one thing for you here is we can somehow combine the road figures together. All these pertains to road, right? Okay. And done. So this is 2001. This is 2010. So let's work out the reduction of road. This minus this divided by the base. So the road reduction is 38%. Are you with me? Okay. Rail reduction, we have already computed that, is 63%. Now, air reduction, let's compute air reduction. Okay. Now, guys, just have a look. So, the biggest reduction is through rail, right? Okay. Now, the biggest is rail. After that, it's road, and the least reduction is air travel. And the reason here could easily be that air is again the global traveling is continued, and they need to commute globally because of increasing globalization and all. Okay. So I'll mention here now analyzing by breaking into different modes of transport. It is clear that rail results in biggest re- reduction by 63%, followed by car reduction, and the lowest reduction was in air travel due to more requirement to travel globally. What did everyone say, yes or no? See how easily we have analyzed it, keeping in mind the different mode of transport. Okay? So one thing is for sure, and this is very surprising to be honest. Now you tell me, out of the out of these three, which is the most effective way of transport in terms of emission? Which is the most effective way of transport in terms of emission? Can you tell me? Is it road that creates less emission, rail, or air? Which transport option creates the least carbon emission? Any idea? Come on, any idea? Yes, please. Yes, rail. Correct, correct. Rail. Rail is a one in which carbon emission generally is lowest compared to road and road and air travel. See, topic like these creates problem for students in the paper because we are not used to these topics. Okay, so it is very clear now. However, the it is clear that rail transport usage has reduced with more focus on other options. However, rail is lowest in to relation to carbon emission. Okay, And it seems that they've reduced their usage of rail, but uh, it could be it could be like reduction could also be achieved due to better technology. I'm not sure about it, but if that is the case that they genuinely have reduced the rail usage, it is surprising then to see. Okay, everyone. However, this reduction could also be due to better technology used. Okay, in transport options rather than distance traveled. So it's not that uh, this immersion reduction could be due to better efficient options they are using for transport, like new technology in rail, new technology in airplanes, new technology in cars. It could be due to that as well. Okay, not just the distance traveled. Are you with me, everyone? Say yes or no. Understanding a topic like this, and how are we analyzing the numbers? Okay, now one more observation I want you to come up with from this data. I don't know, I did mention that earlier, but I just want you to again think of one major observation from this data. Let's see who comes up with such an observation. I'm giving you 2-3 minutes, okay? 2-3 minutes to come up with a major observation. 5 minutes you have. All right. Now, what is the major observation? Another major observation is the reliance on diesel, the reliance on diesel compared to petrol. So you can see here significantly 100% reduction in commercial fleet, whereas in car petrol there is a reduction as well. So it's very clear that the move from petrol to diesel is significant. Is significant. Okay. So I can mention here another key observation is a move from petrol to diesel powered vehicles. Okay, diesel powered vehicles with with complete reduction of 100% achieved in case of commercial vehicles. Okay, commercial vehicle, you can see the mass, the most greatest increase or highest increase is in the commercial fleet vehicles. Okay, there is good in cars, but again, for cars, one can say it depends on the employees as well. But from commercial perspective, they have done it. Okay, the major reason is done. So I think we are done with this. This was for 8. This was for 12 marks, right? 12 marks. You are required to do all this stuff. Now, from the marks perspective, obviously, you are getting marks for the analysis of the overall target. Like this is the overall target that you were required to mention. Then further, when you analyzed the different modes of transport that they have used, you are getting marks for that as well. Okay. And also a categorization between petrol and diesel will also give you the marks, right? So from the marking perspective, things are clear. First part, 8 marks, approximately 1 mark for the factor and 1 mark for the performance indicator in each and every heading. That makes 2 marks per heading. Okay. In the second part, obviously, you are getting marks under the heading of calculations. You to analyze, you will calculate, you will get marks. Okay. And the rest, you will get marks for the interpretation, especially comment on achievement of the objectives and further analyzing into different mix of transport used by the company. Now, coming towards the professional skills. So, analysis evaluation. When I say analysis evaluation, so what all you calculate, and based on these calculations, what conclusions you draw, you get marks for analysis evaluation. Secondly, because you are required to evaluate, so you did came up with the balanced assessment of that, things that they have done well, things that they haven't done well, you are getting marks for analysis and evaluation in that case as well. Okay. Secondly, uh, commercial acumen. Commercial acumen. So any for commercial acumen, what all you write should be plausible, practical, relevant to the business, which you have seen in your answer in the first part when you were writing about the factors. So you did consider business based factors, you did consider environmental strategy. I just see here government regulation, impact on environmental strategy was important to be mentioned here. Like it says, like fines, penalties, carbon levies. From economical perspective, the economical harsh environment, affecting the, come on, environmental strategy. Social, public perception about environmental friendly company and its impact on the policy. Then technological advancement. Obviously, it's a business where you will see that technological impact coming on companies' performance. Then the impact of hybrid cars, commercial agreement, business sense, practical, related to the business. If performance indicators to monitor should be related to the business, should be achievable, plausible, relevant for them. Like percentage carbon reduction will be useful to monitor. Customer attitude towards environmental friendly product will matter. Cost of raising finance, cost of capital will matter, indicate the cost of raising equity debt. Fine penalties increasing the cost for the business will indicate how much the regulations says are having an impact or company's own recycling cost is affecting it. See? So commercial acumen means whatever you write related to the business needs, indicators you are suggesting should be relevant to the business requirement. So these were the two professional marks. And yes, it's clear again, you are targeting technical 8 and 12 marks. Your technical marks are the way you write it, demonstrate your professional acumen, sorry, professional mark. You don't have to separately justify or show the examiner that you have written all these things. Good technical coverage gives you free professional marks. I hope this is all clear to you. The way I've solved it, the way we came up with the cheat codes. Yeah, here it is, the cheat code. It's step number 3. You have to decode the requirement using the hacks to be followed. Okay, then clear. I hope this will make things more good, simple, and will show you the right direction when drafting the answers and how to apply the techniques. Thanks. So, my friends, was the session useful up till now? Yes or no? You understood how to implement things? Yes or no? Say yes or no. Happy? Clear? Come on. You should give some sort of a feedback. Now, how to create a simple study plan. Those who are thinking to give exam again in the upcoming attempt, a simple message for all of you is you need to plan things, you need to practice. What should be a simple plan? Make sure that you do make a 4 hours minimum plan, having plan maybe 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening. Uh, then obviously what to do. So section B and section A practice is key. And how you will do this practice area, what you will be doing, it's very simple. I would recommend you to solve section B questions first. Very simple, one question per day. From the time perspective, it's like every 25 mark question you should be doing in 45 minutes. So minimum 45 minutes per day you should spend on solving each question B, section B question, with proper time management, which is very important. Okay. So 15 questions at least you should solve for the next 15 to 20 days with a time limit of 45 minutes. And once 45 minutes are done, stop, see why you were not able to complete, do complete it, but just stop and hold and see what was the reason because of which you were not able to complete, and then continue and see how much extra time you took. Okay, first thing. Then once you have solved it, you compare your answer with my video answer if you will be part of the batch. And if you are not, or if you won't be, then the examiner answer. Comparison will give you the clarity. Such a comparison will give you the clarity that what exactly is the issue, where you are doing wrong. Okay. Then the examiner report. The examiner report. Examiner report of that particular question will tell you what others have done wrong in the same question in the past. It will highlight what was the reason because of which people lost the marks. So for every question, 45 minutes of solving and maybe next 45 minutes for comparison with my answer if you're part of the portal. If not, the examiner answer, and finding out the respective exam report of that question. You can Google it by the question name or year, you will find. Followed by section A questions after that. For the next further 10 days, minimum, you should solve section A questions within the time frame of 90 minutes. Come on, that's very much possible. It's not difficult. Same approach. 90 minutes. After that, compare with the video answer or official answer, read the examiner. So first 15 to 17 days approximately section B, simple effort. 45 minutes of solving time, the remaining 45 for the other aspects. That makes 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Other than that, you can watch the lectures, prepare yourself and all. And after that, section A questions, 90 minutes of solving. The next 45 to 1 hour for comparison examiner report. So approximately, I would say 2.5 hours for section A on a daily basis will bring you in a position that in paper you'll be very confident. Okay, so first it's B's and then moving towards A's. So guys, interested students planning to join Wi-Fi, you'll be given with recorded sessions, remaining live classes that are still to be held, you can be part of those. The ones that already done, you can watch recordings, e-notes in form of summary notes, detailed notes, important $1 million documents, to make theory easy will be shared with you, followed by a TTA model. We have just yourself questions on the portal which will allow you to practice time based, followed by testing platform. Everything is done on the testing platform. You also prepare on exam testing portal like Wi-Fi has. Unfortunately, we were not able to open today, but you can use it. And assignments to be given after every remaining live class. That is a massive opportunity where we will compare your answers with the exact answers. We'll give you the feedback. You will get a feedback. We'll mark the assignments for you. Perfect. Okay, we'll mark the assignments for you. Followed by mocks, two mocks at the end. One is a live mock, one is complimentary mock. Live mock is the one that will mark and give you the feedback. And followed by 15 to 20 hours of revision in the last month, where we'll be doing all practice, practice, and practice. Okay. Followed by teacher assistance. My team with me will be working with you people till the last day, till the last night, in order to ensure you pass. The interested students can contact the admission department at this number, or you can visit our website and make the enrollment directly there as well. Okay. You can contact me for any help or support, any guidance, any clarity you need, what needs to be done further. I'll help you out. Plus, you can join our free global WhatsApp groups, especially the self-study students. For the link, you can contact the admission department. They'll be happy to provide, or you can message me as well. Okay. I've already made it clear. We have a Resit batch. You can join right now at a flat 35% off, which is complete regular batch. All facilities of regular batch will be given to you. If you feel like you don't want to cover everything, you can join our revision batch that will start from first week of August. You can be part of that batch. That can give you more benefit, I would say, more clarity, more benefit, and you can further take massive benefit from the revision batch. Okay, because revision batch will focus on key areas of the syllabus, important areas of syllabus. Not everything is part of revision batch. We will be covering only the important areas. 25 to 30 hot topics will be part of the revision batch with practice concepts. But the best part is this revision batch will include mocks. Mocks. This is part of the revision. Free webinars, again, will be free for everyone, all self-study students, everybody can join, that I'll be conducting in the month of August. You can decide what needs to be done. If you have failed at a really low marks, maybe less than 40%, I'll go with reset batch. If you are between 45, 49, revision will work for you. Okay, but if your marks are really low, like less than 30%, so I'll recommend you to give in December, joining a proper regular batch. I hope the session went well, guys. What's your feedback? Enjoyed everyone? Say yes or no. Happy? Was the practice good one? Techniques, discussion, everything done perfectly? Yes or no? Useful? So thank you very much. I hope the session overall went well. Do share your feedbacks, and now see you in the next live class that we'll be conducting next week with further. Thank you very much. Rizwan Mania signing off.